Game audio hype. So many nice raids. Eric. And Game on ISIS. Game on ISIS. Cute. Game on ISIS. Oh. Yeah, we are, we're paying some tribute to the Hades team today. As yesterday was the Independent Games Festival, as well as the Game Developers Choice Awards. The back-to-back awards ceremonies, as that happens every year. Weird is happening in July. Like, feels real strange to be in July and not in March. But such is the state of the world. But yeah, freaking Hades took home Game of the Year. Nice. And Best Design and Best Audio. Darren Korb. What up, bud? Very exciting. Very, very cool. Darren Korb actually did the keynote talk at the Audio Bootcamp the first year I was at GDC in 2012. And I was starstruck. Now we're pals. But yeah, he's awesome. Darren knows his stuff. I want to point out some really cool stuff with the Hades soundtrack. I mean, it's just... This came up recently. We'll get the occasional email from folks who are asking for advice on various game audio topics and stuff. And someone was asking about writing music for games and if there are any specific considerations that might come into play to write and structure, I guess is a good word, to structure music for interactive specifically. And one thing I brought up is like widening up the mix, and especially in the case of games for which most of the action happens in screen space, like in the, it happens visibly on screen. Because that is to say, you would hear those things probably in this, like the central area of the panorama. And if you widen up your mix, there's this lovely effect you can achieve where you have your music kind of like bookending the action in the middle. It's almost like the curtains on the stage at the theater. It's like the left and right is the music just filling up the entire stage with the action happening in the middle. And if you listen to a song like Mouth of Sticks, which we just heard, we'll just jump to the middle again. Like check out the guitars. Like they're so wide. I assure you that is no accident. That is definitely a conscious choice. I can't imagine that was a mistake. It just worked out well. Anyway, how's everyone doing? We got official W me rolling up. What's up, peoples? The first. Bowling GRR. Are you new here? I feel like you might be new here. Or perhaps not? Are you new around these parts? Let me know. I think you are. I don't know. I may be wrong. Good to see you, though. Nichukabra. Yo. Good to see you. Tuba Hero. Matt Galt. You're back. You're back for more. Come on in. Joe. What's up, Bjorn? On time. Yes, on time. On time this time and all. Woohoo. Yes. Yeah, good job. I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Alex. Good to see you. Chris. Murray Cameron Smith as well. Everyone rolling in. What up, Natasha? Okay. Yeah, so before we start, it's been like a very kind of disturbing and gross and anxious 12 hours or so with the Blizzard news coming out. And just want to make a point to say that news is fucking disgusting. Everything coming out is just gross. So I just want to get that out of the way and we can move on with the stream. I didn't want to not acknowledge it at all. It's just gross. So moving on. So let's go ahead and talk about some game audio. That's why we're all here. So today we got some Jason McKenzie, whom I saw tweet and say it's review day. So I assume Jason's in the chat, which is good because I'm never sure. I mean, thanks for both Jason and Chirag. Is that right? Chirag? Chirag Machhar. That's my guess at your name. Machhar is one of those in the back. Perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, Sergio, feel free to Google. You'll find it real quick. real quick. Yeah, so I was saying it is certainly a bit of a wait right now as far as getting demo reels reviewed on this stream. I just finished scheduling a couple more Machhar, Muse Hive, Machhar, Chirag Machhar. But you didn't correct Chirag, so I assume that's correct? I'm just trying my best here, sorry. Apologies. As I was saying, I just finished scheduling in some folks for like October. I think the October slots are now full. So now into November, right? So it's a bit of a wait. Yeah, To Be Hero. I'm on October 17th. There you go. It's a bit of a wait. So thank you everyone for your patience. I know it can be a little bit annoying to be like, I'm all done my stuff, and now we're gonna like get some feedback and stuff. And it's like, well, I'll get you feedback in 4 months. So yes, thank you very much. But that said, I'm always kind of a little bit worried that the people we've scheduled it in they didn't make a calendar reminder of some kind, and they just will miss it after all that time. Understandable after waiting months or something, right? So and yeah, there you go. To Be Hero, are you Lewis? Or are you, because Lewis is, I think, on the 14th, right? I just scheduled it in. Let me see this. Lewis or Nick? You're Lewis or Nick. You're one of them. Make yourself known. Nick. Okay. Rosacci? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I'm always thrilled to see when folks make it here and are able to interact, because, of course, this back and forth is really, really worthwhile. It can lead a lot more to just a little more depth, and I think benefit to yourselves. If you're coming here to watch the thing, you can of course tell us things like what your thoughts were and why you're doing the things you're doing, and like what you want to be doing in 5 years or whatever, all that stuff, right? So where should we ask to schedule a review? You can ask down here. There's 3 at the bottom left there, powerupaudio.com. You can use our contact form, that's fine. Or if you're on Twitter, you can hit Power Up Audio or me at RegameK, and it'll get scheduled either way. You'll get it. It may be a little bit of a wait to hear back from us, because we're just busy. I'll usually do like 4 or 5 in kind of one go. And given there is a wait right now, it's not like there's no difference if I do it now or in a month kind of thing. So if you do hit us up, rest assured it will be scheduled in. No sweat. And don't be nervous, Chirag. Don't worry. This is certainly a positive, encouraging environment, and I applaud you for having the courage to get up on stage, and yeah, just simply show all. It's not easy. I get it. And Epic June. Oh, so Epic June, are you Jason? I assume. Admittedly, almost forgot mine today, so I assume you are Jason. I assume. Jay Spear sound real taco baby. Let's go. Jason is Epic June. Okay, rad. Good to know. Well, for anyone rolling in for the first time or first time in a while, this is Real Talk. We're taking a look at some game audio demo materials from some up-and-comers or some folks who want to get a little more traction in whatever corner of the industry they're vying for. And we're doing that by looking at a few things here. We're looking at presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. So presentation is the website on the whole, just basic navigation, information stuff. If everything is there that needs to be there, if there's not enough there, if it's just right, hopefully it's just right. And we'll look at the bio, look at the everything not specifically audio, basically. And new contact inquiry from Riley. Riley was quick on the draw. Let's go. Okay, I'll get back to you soon, Riley. Thanks a lot. I just saw a notification pop up. It was like 1 minute to submit. Very well done. Okay, so yeah, next up we're looking at the presentation of the demo reel itself and things like how long it is and the flow therein. If we're kind of like we're taking on a journey of sorts and we're kept engaged. I love the cinematic transitions. If we can pull one of those out, we'll be aces. And then next up is material selection. So material selection, we're looking at the pieces selected for the demo reel, and perhaps is there a portfolio here? I guess there's some things here too, portfolio, game projects. So what these various pieces might suggest about what this person's future ambitions look like and what their work history looks like and their current skill sets and all these things. And important to note here, I have not looked at either of these people's work. I haven't looked at Jason or Chirag's work. So we're going in blind. And I suspect that a lot of people in the chat have not seen their work either. So that said, a big issue, usually the biggest issue, or I guess most frequent issue across all the reels we've looked at, is not one of skills or craft. It's one of communication and just being able to communicate your abilities and your intentions and your ambitions effectively to someone who rolls in and may know nothing about you, or maybe met you once at a party or a conference or on Twitter or something, right? It's pretty important to be able to tell your story effectively. So next up is content quality. Just, is your stuff good? Is it standing up to the industry standard of awesome? And if it's not quite there in some respects, I'm happy to tell you what I think, and where you might be able to improve your work next. And I'm sure the chat is always happy to offer their own perspective as well. So please feel free. There's a lot of very talented folks in the chat, so I'm sure you can listen to their perspective. And finally, distinction. Just, are you standing out in some positive way? Given that when you apply at some studio, perhaps not Blizzard, you might not ever hear back, and that may be because they had like 800 applications to get through, and there's no way they can get back to 800 people and tell every person like why they didn't get hired, right? So even if you didn't get hired this time around, it's real damn positive to just make a good impression that first time around, make some positive, like stand out in some positive way, because if you apply again, it's like, oh yeah, here's Jason again, kind of thing, or perhaps even studio heads and recruiters and like indie teams and such do talk to each other. It's all a big or small industry rather. It's a big industry, but it's pretty small too. And if you didn't get hired and they need to hire someone somewhere else, your name might come up. Can never hurt to make a good impression. So end of the stream, we'll just do a yes no. Did you stand out in some positive way? Yes or no? I like this already. So that's fun. That's solid landing page. Very nice. Okay, well, I saw Chirag first in the chat, so perhaps we'll start here. And again, everyone here in the chat, feel free to weigh in on basically anything, anytime. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. That goes for the reels we're looking at, as well as just game audio, anything in general. This is a very kind of open forum, free to ask questions, roundtable, whatever, kind of as we're working our way through the two reels and websites we have submitted for today. So, shall we? Let's jump into Chirag Machhar. Let's do it. I'll get this back up too. There you go. All right. So we got, I'm zoomed in, right? This is 150 right now. Hello? Wonderful, 150. Okay, sound designer and composer in that order. All right, we got the classic link goes to where we already are. This is musehive.art if you want to follow along at home. We got sound design, music. Is it a vertical page? It is not. Okay. Oh, I see it. It is kind of vertical, but only for the sound design. So we have a music thing up top. We got music things down below. Recent commercial releases. Hover over me. Oh, I like this. I wasn't going to hover. This is a call to action. Hover over me for more info. Cool. It's tasteful. Okay, we got one of these. Wonderful. There's no scroll to the right here, which I love. Thank you. Okay, so we'll do contact now. We got... Whoa, we're back on... Oh, is the main page sound design? Oh, I see. The main page is sound design. Music's like its own thing over here. Interesting. So contacts, wait on here. Get in touch. We got the form and the link. We got some various links here too. These probably work. Yeah, well done. Okay. Well, let's blog. Okay, here we go. So anyone, any guesses? I'm gonna ask, when do you think the last blog post was, the most recent one? And I will guess this month. I'm feeling optimistic. July 2nd. That's my guess. Get in your answers. I'm clicking in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Chirag, what we got? May 22nd. That's not bad. It's not too long ago. Although it is only one post. Oh, all posts or miscellaneous. There's two things. Miscellaneous. Well, I mean, it's only one post though. So is this worth having? Or a search? If you want to search for various things, we may be able to find what we're looking for. It's one post, Chirag. If it's only one thing, I don't know if you need this other extra things here. I'm a big fan of like cutting down on stuff that doesn't need to be there just to keep your site trim, you know? So things like all posts and miscellaneous. And also login, sign up. I'm not sure what this is all about. And search. I'm not going to click that either. It doesn't matter. So cool. This is a post though. We got an experimental music composition. Very nice. Cool post talking about how they did the thing. Very nice. All right. Cool. Back to the main page, sound design. So yeah, it says sound designer and composer. Excuse me. It seems like sound design is the first thing because the main page is like, you know, it's the reel as well as the bio and the contact and the skills and everything. So it seems like this being a landing page and being sound design, it does seem to be like sound design is your focus, and music seems like kind of a, oh, and this other thing, I do music composition as well. So that's the impression I get, at least. It's kind of like me, actually. It's similar. I went to post-secondary for music composition, but I don't really write music these days. It's all sound design. All right. Also, Jeff, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Rolling in. Ed Hipkins, also good to see you. Ninja 5 Tuna 5. What up? Do I know you? I don't know if I do. All these folks, I'm trying to recall who I've seen in this chat before. There's a lot of semi-regulars. I think I've seen it like once before or something. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, let's read Chirag's bio. Can you see this in the pane? It's a bit small. I will go a little bigger. 200. About. Hi, my name is Chirag Machhar, and I also operate under the moniker Musehive in the chat. I am a sound designer and composer for film, TV, and video games, currently based out of Huddersfield, UK. I'm a recent graduate of BA in Music and Sound for Image 2018 and 2021. I enjoy creating original sounds and have a great deal of experience in production of audio using different techniques in the studio and field. Oh, like out in the field, I see. I am eager to learn, grow, and to be mentored by a team of industry experts in a collaborative environment. Currently, I'm working as a part of an indie studio on a multiplayer FPS project. This project is funded by the UK Games Fund. I play a lot of video games in my downtime and love to cook food. I know some amazing recipes. I believe in maintaining a healthy state of body and mind by practicing yoga and meditation daily. How's your crow? Solid. And also, itch page, cool. Some of the games I'm currently playing: Last of Us Remastered, Red Dead 2, Hades. Shout out. There it is. Good pick, Kevin. Rocket League. My downtime hobbies: gaming, sure hope so, cooking, yoga, as we said before. This is kind of like, this is what I'm saying in terms of like cutting down, because you just said this. I mean, I guess if this is like if you want to just know the abridged version, but I picture this stuff down below is like, oh, and bonus, here's some more stuff. But it's just like the same thing again. So, and the reason I bring that up is because I'm a big fan of thinking of your website from the angle of people have extremely limited time to look at your stuff and internalize what's there. So the more you can just trim down the fat and have like an extremely focused, just sniper shot of what you bring to the table, I think it can only help you, really. You know, it's a very small, nuanced kind of nitpick thing, but there you go. And some games on the wish list: Hellblade, Kina. Oh, Bridge of Spirits. Yeah, I've heard of that one. And Returnal, of course. Jeff, my co-founder, is a big Returnal fan. I gotta pick it up. He's been singing its praise ever since release day. So yeah, Itch. It looks like you've done some of your own development too, or something. It would seem. Check it out. Muse Hive. Yeah, here we go. Worked on multiple game jams. Oh, so you can like play the stuff then. Very nice. Cool. Cool. Welcomes feedback. Please do leave feedback. There you go. I'd never have guessed. All right, let's go ahead and watch a reel, shall we? Ashton. Big fan of that team, yeah? There you go. Let's crank this Chrome level back up and turn my sidechain off out of respect to you. And let's go. Oh, that's it. Okay. There you go. Pretty spicy, says Jeff. There you go. Cool. All right. Very nice. There's some good stuff in there. Very nice. The ending clip kind of confused me, and then it ended very, very unceremoniously. But otherwise, yeah, some really solid stuff. Like it. I wanted to keep watching, so there you go. That's step one, right? In the first 10 seconds, make someone want to see more. So let's. It's not often we see a vehicle-based redesign either. You know, I'm trying to think what the last one even was. It's not very frequent at all. Let's talk about presentation a bit. So we're looking at how long? 106, 105. Yeah, 10x is where you want to land. No more than 109, in my opinion. 106 is wonderful. 105, sorry. It's just barely, not quite. 6. Got a cool Geiger counter thing happening in the intro. Neat. I did, though, this stuck out to me. This is kind of a presentation thing. It's a bit into content quality as well. So you've made the choice, Chirag, and I'm not sure if it's due to like software limitations or something, but there is, you know, you're not crossfading and you're not really doing J cuts where like you bring the audio or like L, I guess, where you like let the audio from one clip fade into the next, or vice versa. You hear the next clip's audio before you see it. And instead, you're kind of just going like, boom, we're cutting, and we're cutting from video and audio at the same moment. And this very first one, I did hear it when like, oh, that was a little bit jarring. On my very first watch. So listen again. There's even a pop there too. I heard the pop, which means that this wasn't faded, obviously. So it almost seems like you may have designed this clip with more, like with a, like allowing the tail to, you know, tail out. But because it was cut so hard in the video editing side of things, we're hearing that pop. And that pop is a pretty, it's like, it kind of gets filed under like rookie mistakes, if that makes sense. Just hearing pops like that, it's like a technical error that you should absolutely be watching out for in your own work. And the thing is, the content between the cuts for each clip, I didn't hear any technical errors. So it's only like in your video editing process that it happens, right? But the problem is that this, while you might not think that speaks to your audio capabilities and sensibilities, because this video is a trailer for you, and presumably you've watched this thing through to be like, yep, sounds sweet, and like ship it, put it on the site. Because that's assumable, when we hear things like this, even if it's like a clip between, like a cut between video elements, it's still absolutely going to measure into our perspective, our perception of the audio quality of the entire piece. Does that make sense? So yeah, right here was a rough one. There was one over here, I think, too. Yeah, there's a pop there too. Wasn't as egregious. And then this one, let's see. No, it's just very abrupt, you know. And the thing is, abrupt can be okay if it's chosen, if the timing is chosen deliberately. This is still very much in presentation, right? In terms of like how the thing flows. Because this very much comes across as you worked on some things and you had a video editing timeline to work with, and you had a folder of stuff, and you went, this one and this one and this one, and we'll finish off with that thing. And maybe you thought, I'll lead with Rocket League, it's a strong piece. I'll end with this implementation thing as a final peppering of like, oh, by the way, I do like Unreal blueprints too. Cool idea, absolutely. So I think the order was probably mindful, but just the details of the ordering in terms of like transition time and how long the clips were and stuff was maybe not the most mindful thing. And the thing is, when I've talked about this in the past, like when you have clips like this, they're just back to back to back. If those clips are all like sweet, then this kind of thing won't really affect you negatively. It's more just that if someone else also has clips back to back to back that are like sweet, and they also have awesome transitions, then they may win out. So it's a matter of just giving yourself as many pluses as you can. And right now, it's not really it's almost a minus because of the nature of like these like popping transitions, but it's not like hurting you too bad right now. It just isn't helping you. That's all. So let's talk titles a little bit. So we got Rocket League, Psyonix Games, sound redesign, cinematic. Right. This is a little bit low classic. Just bring it up a hair because you've got, yeah, we'll talk about that, Ezekiel. That's on my list for sure. Yeah, the high frequency thing. We'll talk about this in the next clip too, actually. So this is a bit low. Bring it up. Otherwise, like it's fine in terms of the style. It's not the best because it's just like the gray on. It's like a slightest of drop shadows looks like, but just still, I mean, make it as easy to read as possible. If this gray is on gray, then suddenly you can't read it very well. You know, like right here and stuff isn't perfect. It's a bit rough to read, you know. So it is legible. It's legible, but again, like not the best it could be. It's fine. Not worth going in depth like crazy on this thing. But then next clip we have it's white. So why we go from gray to white? I noticed that the first time. I was like, what? So it's gray and then white. It's almost like, oh, did it fade? Oh, it faded out, kind of. But you didn't fade opacity. You faded brightness or something? Is that what happened? So you did like the Tzvi and now Josh Adam Bell thing, I think. But you like faded to gray over time. Is that what happened? Oh, you just popped to gray. Okay. Yeah, kind of weird. I don't know if I agree with that approach. Because the gray doesn't make it easier to read. It's more just that, yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Oh, you've got the blur effect here. I didn't see that either. Was it on this one? Oh, it is on that. You can barely see it. Is it blur? Is that what it is? It's a little easier to tell on this clip, I think, that it's blur just because of the nature of the clip. Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool actually. So you have like a mask here or something blurring it. That's rad. Super cool. I think you just also darken it a little bit, you know? Just darken a little more and maybe just pull the opacity down on this rather than the brightness. Here I'm saying we're not going to talk about the font forever. We're still talking about the font. We can move on. It's all right. sound redesign gameplay, UI and Foley. So I think you don't really also need to say like UI and Foley and gameplay and cinematic. The only times when that kind of thing might come in handy to like clarify what kind of sound redesign it might be is if it could be anything, if it could be in engine or if it could be linear. So for example, like we released the Fmod project for Celeste, right? So for that project in particular, for the game Celeste, you could do a sound redesign that's just a captured video clip that you then redesign on a linear timeline, or you can redesign it in Fmod. Like you have that capability. So this kind of cinematic, like I'm not going to assume that you have access to Rocket League's engine or here rather, like with the gameplay. Like you're not doing it in engine. Of course you're not doing Red Dead 2 in engine. So I think just sound redesign, like people will know that they're watching a cinematic and they'll know they're watching gameplay footage and they'll know they're watching, well, just from the nature of the clip. Of course it's UI and Foley. This is also ambience, right? So we didn't say ambience because you don't need to. We're hearing it, you know, it just isn't necessary. So you can just trim down that fat a little more. So moving on. Crafting some stuff, some bombs. Very nice. Useful. Okay, this one though. So Unreal Engine, Action RPG custom level. Blueprint scripting for object detection. Cool. So I didn't fully understand what I was looking at here, because it was my first time watching it ever, and I just dropped into it, right? We're like, I'm looking at Foley and stuff, and it's like, and boom! Now we're looking at the action RPG that everyone loves. And so picture this, Chirag, right? We land here for a first-time viewer. I know it's tricky sometimes because you've seen this content so much in you're working on it the first time and in like doing all the audio stuff and making the video itself, putting in the title and like the overlay picture in picture and stuff. Like you've seen this so many times, so you know what it is, but I have no idea what this is when it first lands. It's possible we could learn more by watching again and stuff, or by watching some additional footage you have elsewhere on the site. But the very first time watching this, we land here and I have this character, I have the gameplay, and up to this point I've been watching gameplay, so I'm looking at the gameplay first and I'm like, oh, what's this thing? Look over here. Oh, what's this also? So there's like 3 separate things that are all grabbing our attention at the same time. So it may even be worthwhile doing something like having, this is just from a presentation standpoint. Because again, the only reason you have this clip in your reel is to make people who are interested go find the bigger clip elsewhere on your site. And be like, oh, Chirag knows Unreal Engine 4, sweet. And then they'll go watch the thing. That's your entire goal. This shouldn't be, the purpose of this clip shouldn't be to teach us anything. It should be like the loosest gist of, hey, I do implementation and it's cool. And that's it, moving on. So it might be worthwhile to have like only the gameplay clip and just claim, or even have the gameplay clip and then like fade this in after a few seconds. So we can get kind of acclimatized, give the viewer a second to read the words Unreal Engine, Action RPG custom level, blueprint scripting for object detection. Takes a little bit to read that. And then, hey, and cool, check it out, it's the blueprint. And now we can like watch the blueprint while watching this peripherally and be like, oh, cool. So Chirag did some like detection on stuff, some fluctuation, etc. I get it. Like the video's not moving. So I can tell we're just walking towards a flame. But even knowing that, I'm not sure like what's driving this detection and stuff, right? So all that said, so To Be Hero, Nick is bringing up, I don't see that clip on the page. So I don't know if this clip is even on the page. I'm hoping it is, because if it's not, then this is a waste of space, to put it kind of maybe strongly. It is a missed opportunity. I'll put it that way instead. So do we have that clip somewhere else? We have RX7 tutorial. We got Meteor castability. We got Labyrinth thing, sound redesign, and Action RPG. Well, here it is, Nick, perhaps. Here it is, Action RPG demo project custom level. It's in the big pink spot if you didn't see it there. And Sean says, I'm still not sure what's being demonstrated here. Yeah, so after all that, Chirag, like I still don't super know, and we're paused on this clip right now. I still don't super know like what is driving the audio and how the audio is responding. I'm just not sure. It is still cool. It's like, hey, I did a cool thing. and you should go look at it. But this is just too much to try and communicate in like 10 seconds, right? So if we go watch this now, what are we going to see? We got implementation techniques and ambience and dialogue walkthrough. So probably, oh, this is weird too. This is kind of silly. Classic template stuff. 8 minutes. Let's see what we got. Are you going to talk to us? Please talk to us. I believe in you. Come on.
Hello, in this part of the video, I want to talk about some of my audio programming techniques, implementation techniques, and procedural sound design techniques that I've used in this level. Firstly,
okay, so I love this exists, super cool, but I want to know about the object, what do you even call it? Object something? Proximity? I can't recall. Object detection. So where is that in this video? Do I need to find it? It may even be worth having here, like for the object detection thing, like go to 6 minutes, you know? Like that might be it. Here's the, oh, here it is. Perhaps here.
now I'm gonna move closer to the shrub and we'll see how the sounds play out.
Oh, it's the shrub.
As you can see, the pickup detect sound has started playing. Now you can faintly start to hear them. The volume is increasing, and so is the frequency.
Wait, what shrub? Oh, this one?
It's going to be maximum when the player gets closest to the shrub.
Okay, yeah, so when I watched your video the first time, I for sure thought it was the flame, and I didn't know what I was listening for. Because the flame is the brightest thing in the shot. This is kind of an unassuming little thing. Yeah, but cool. Like, nice. Very nice. Okay, yeah, I mean, Chirag, again, it's all about trying to be as courteous to people's time as possible. So that means like getting rid of stuff that doesn't need to be there and cutting down on text and giving people a direct route, an obvious direct route to the thing they might want to look at. It's just, I cannot stress enough how many resumes and demos, just applications in general, studios get. Like our studio is tiny. We got like 150 resumes to look at when we had a job posting. And 150 is not a small number when you're spending like 10 minutes on each one, you know? Time adds up real fast. Okay, so let's get back over here though. Full screen. Here we go. I'm gonna turn this side chain on again. So we've got material selection. Here we go. Okay, so Rocket League is the first thing I saw here, and that says, hey, I like cars. Sweet. Good. Next up, we have Red Dead 2. Hey, I like horses and carriages also. And then we got Last of Us, right? Yeah. And then a cool blueprint thing. So, obviously AAA. So even more so, AAA teams get so many applications. So be as direct and efficient as possible in your communication. Just, I cannot stress it enough. So I sure hope you're looking for a AAA gig. That said, Rocket League and these two games are pretty different. Like they're really different. There certainly are like vehicle systems in other AAA projects. So this is kind of a cool thing to add in there. Like, hey, by the way, this is a skill set that I am interested in. Mind you, it is also cinematic, so it's not indicating that you have chops for implementing vehicle sounds. I say that, by the way, like I will gladly say that vehicle sounds are by far my weakest skill set in audio. Like, do not give me a car to design ever, okay? Like, I don't even drive. Just Keep cars away. So this stuff, I'm not the person to like critique your car design too much, but I will do my best. All right. So let's go through these clips piece by piece for content quality now. Just talking about the actual sound itself. Yes, let's go. So one thing I did notice here is we got like a pretty squealy tire thing happening, and this ground is like AstroTurf or something. Like it's not concrete. So even as a non-car guy, that felt like a disconnect in what I'm hearing versus what is actually happening. It's not egregious, but it's a little bit of a squeal there. So, okay, Ezekiel brought this up previously in the chat, and now Nick is bringing up some low-end stuff. So there's a few frequency things I want to bring up, and this came up in your implementation walkthrough also. I would urge you to be careful. I would urge you to be careful of your high frequencies in particular. It's just real risky to, in fact, I'm gonna do this for a second. Let's do one of these. I haven't done this in a while on stream. Let's do, it's gonna work. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. So I'll go from like here-ish. Okay, we got it. We got it. And now I'm gonna grab this, consolidate, move it out. Export, give me a hot second. I promise this will not take long. Let's go to here. Yes, go. And we are, give me like 5 seconds, I'll have it up here. And I wanna make sure I also don't break any NDAs, so give me another 5 seconds. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. PCM mic, here we go. You hear that? I moved a file. I'm gonna do this for a second, turning off the display, just in case. Just in case I break an NDA. Don't want to do that. Okay, there were no files open. Excellent. Okay, and we're almost there. This is gonna be a very good visual aid, I promise. I promise to you. Here we go. Let's go. Applause for all of you who stuck around for that. Thank you. Let's go. So, yeah, we're all friends here, right, Bjorn? We're all friends. No NDAs to break. So, Chirag, really important thing to consider. The human ear is very good at interpreting and transducing high frequency sound. Okay, we're very efficient at that. The ear does it very, very effectively. Anything from like 7K up, even 6K up, you gotta be real careful of. If I played this by itself, this here. Hello? I'm just not gonna hear it at all? Why? Oh, it's muted in my volume mixer. Sorry, here we go. One more time. Ugh, it's rough. This is rough. So this kind of thing is a perfect example of it's easy to miss if your ears aren't as solid as they once were when you were younger. I know mine are in that boat. My right ear in particular is a bit worse than my left ear. So I totally look at the spectrogram. I mean, you have an RX-7 demo on your page. I saw it there. So this is a great step when you're doing your work, is just put it in RX and just have a look at it. Because it's entirely possible that you may even have, you may have pulled in some library recording, and maybe you like pitched something way down. It was like a 96 kilohertz recording, and you pulled it way down in pitch, and just mistakenly didn't even realize it. But you may have pitched something down. You have some tone that was previously like way up there, and now it's hanging out at like 16K, just like a tone. Like there was a AC unit or a TV or something nearby just giving off some hum or some high-pitched whatever whine. You pull it down and maybe your ears don't hear it. Like mine might not hear 16K. So, but you'll sure see it. And then seeing it here is a great opportunity to get rid of it and not offend all your young players who can totally hear that. And it will annoy them to no end. This as well is pretty rough. You can see it way up there, right? Look at all this activity. Oh, rough. Very rough. So be careful with that. I would just totally get out of here. Yes. Perfect. Spectral replace. That's what I wanted, right? That's what I learned in an RX tutorial. There we go. Boom. Do you delete? Well, maybe not. I mean, you can't really pitch this down very well. Like RX isn't the best tool for that, to pull it down and lower, so it's not quite so offensive. But you may want to just do something like, I have V as my, oh my goodness, it's not even right. I'm doing spectral replace and turning up in gain. Please, -3. We'll just pull it back a little bit. And it's not like you can't have these frequencies in your work, Nick. Of course you should have some presence up there, like some really high stuff. But just realize you don't need much. Like, it's gonna punch through the mix. You know, like maybe that makes sense to have in there a little bit. But that much is probably a bit of a dicey move. I wouldn't recommend that. And like here, same thing, like this tone is, oh, brutal. But that's plenty, you know, to have in there. Just that much. You're gonna hear it. Like it's very much there. So, okay, that's that for now. Let's move back over to the real. I'm gonna move on to Jason pretty quick here. So, okay, talk about Red Dead for a second. Let's go. Here we go. Yeah, so the voiceover is like, okay. It's not amazing. It's okay. Kill him now. In general, I would not recommend putting voiceover into your reel unless you're very confident of its quality, if you're like hiring someone who's a professional or something like that. Because it just ends up being something that we think about when we should be focused on your awesome sound design instead, right? Just be aware of that. It's not brutal. I've heard some brutal voiceover in reels. I definitely have. This is not brutal, but it's not amazing.
Kill him! Kill him now!
Right, so is there like a low thing that comes in there?
Kill him! Kill him now!
It's like way down there, you know? And then it stays though. After this like sepia effect goes away. I guess it's a slow fade, but it's like, given how fast it appears, I kind of assumed it would go away as well. Bristle. Yo, with the hot take. Briz. My God. Yeah, yes, okay, fine. Some AAA games have NPC voiceover that's not amazing either, but that's not really justification for distraction in your own reel, you know? Yeah, some cool work. I'm not really a big guns guy, so I can't give you much feedback there, but when I say skipping over voiceover is okay, does that include grunts and stuff? I mean, okay, so yes, the grunts, etc., like monster noises for something. There's a spectrum here for voiceover, right? There's over here is like dramatic dialogue, like a monologue, by a voice performer, and then a bit further in you have like, you know, little barks like this, but further in is like grunts like "Ugh!" and stuff. And then over a little more is moving into like monstrous territory, like, oh, it's a skeleton, so I'm like, bleh, or something. And then you go a little more, and you have like mouth-produced sound effects like and stuff, right? Like there's a wide spectrum of what the voice can do. or the voice on your face can do. So there is a line there, and wherever you think that line is for you is where you should go to. Does that make sense? So you should probably do things like monster sounds if you want to use your own voice for that kind of thing, totally. But moving into grunts and barks and dramatic dialogue, you need to be real honest with yourself as far as what you can, like what you're actually capable of doing at a professional level. That's all. And then do whatever that is. If I say we as like any person in the world reviewing an audio reel, if you were to get an audio reel and look at it and there's like a moving mouth with no voice, like that's fine. No one's going to fault you for that. If it's got a moving mouth and voice and the voice sounds awesome, they'll be like, oh, damn, that's sweet, because it never sounds awesome. Like it so rarely sounds good if it isn't there at all. So if you want to invest in your reel and hire someone who, knows their stuff to do it, then cool. But it's not like not having it's going to hurt you. That's totally fine. Okay, so I haven't played Red Dead 2. I'm not sure the system works. Like, it's like a bullet time thing. Line up all your shots and like go through and shoot. So I wasn't super clear on like the sound of like marking the target and the sound of their bullets. Because it seems like they're shooting too, right? I don't know. I don't super get it. It's like the shot sound. I can't tell if it's like marking a target or if it's the sound of them shooting you or something. Maybe that's how it sounds in game. I don't know. I'll move on because I'm not really informed in this. But I have played Last of Us. Let's go. One more time. Right, so there is some kind of generalizing here as far as the sound I'm making stuff, and I think it's probably worthwhile to try to introduce like some identity to the things you're making. And when I say identity, I mean like the kinds of sounds we're hearing, and especially in the frequency focus of the sounds we're hearing. So in the first few seconds here, so I guess you went with kind of like the Foley. It says UI and Foley, but the UI sounds, I think, are the Foley. And at first, I wasn't clear on that. Like when you move, it's like a rustling in a backpack or something, right? Like, yeah. So I didn't get that. And the thing is, it's a cool idea, kind of like from a storytelling perspective. Like we're rustling through the bag, we're thinking about what to make, but that's not really what's happening here. Like I have 0 knives. I guess I'm like looking for the knife in my bag or something. Is that kind of the thought? But the what I see to be maybe a shortfall with taking this approach to the design is there's kind of an absence of immediacy in the sound. Like when you go down, it's not like plink, plink, plink. There's not like an immediate kind of transient. I'm not saying it needs to be like plink or like dink. It's not a beep or something, but it's something being like doo, 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 like it being an obvious moment of movement in the UI. Because that'll lead to A, player feedback being like, yep, you moved, and B, just a little more satisfaction in the sound too, rather than things being kind of soft and like washy. Because when you're crafting, like the game is happening outside, So I've been like in the middle of a firefight in Last of Us trying to craft a bomb. that's a thing that happens in the game, totally. Like or rather just near danger, I should say. And if you're near danger and there's like sound sources and stuff, you want to be a little clearer on being able to hear that like moment of the UI happening. And further, what we got in the sound here? Like there's no really. You do have like the clunk, 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 clunk of like making the Molotov cocktail. It's pretty cool. So it's like I love like the sound of like making the stuff is awesome, and like a little tear of like you can picture them making the thing. Super cool. I love this too because you never see it happening. It's all like behind Joel, right? So I love the design moments, but it's the UI movement I wasn't really feeling too much for like player feedback reasons more than creative reasons. Okay, yeah. So Sean says, I'll also point out this sounds really close to the source sounds for me. Yeah, which is like good or bad. You know, it's definitely debatable if it's a good or bad thing. And Sean, are you like? Didn't you work on Last of Us 2? Weren't you on part 2? I feel like you were. Yeah. So what do you think? Is that a good or a bad thing? If it sounds very close to the source sounds, like if it's making no kind of so it took reference from the source. Right. So yeah. So Sean worked on Last of Us Part 2, Chirag, just so you know who you're talking to in the chat, so you can take their thoughts with just through that lens. Right. So it's always a question of do I make it sound like it can live in the world of this game because it sounds like it does, because it sounds like the game does, or do you need to make a statement for yourself and like have your own identity kind of imprinted onto this sound design work? It's a good question. Shigan says, I was considering redesigning a game where I've never heard the original. That's a very common approach, actually, totally. Because it's, even if you don't want to be affected by the original, you might just be kind of, it may just color your approach, even like without being conscious of that it even happened. So yeah, totally. Big fan of that idea. Absolutely. Yeah, so Sean says, did a good job of deconstructing source sounds and identifying the elements and reconstructing it, but there's also the missed opportunity of giving me your own take on it. Yeah, so it's because the thing is, like, what else do you do in this shot? Like, this seems like we see Joel working and stuff. It seems like you should hear what the game did. That's like, what else do you do? We're not going to hear something that's like for the sake of the player, like some UI sound, right? Apart from the movement here, perhaps, but like this happening, you should hear them making a sound. So yeah, just there's something to be said for this maybe not being, like, again, not hurting you, but just maybe not being a plus just due to this material you've chosen to redesign. It just doesn't have a lot of room for interpretation. It kind of like, this is what it should probably sound like, Sounds cool though. Like, this sounds cool. This it doesn't have its own character. That's all. And we talked about the last clip, so we don't really need to talk about that too much. Oh, but I did mention in the frequency thing. It was in this clip too. Not in this clip so much. More in the clip that was down here. There was like some really high bird stuff that played. Like, that bird is rough. That bird is screaming up here, screaming. So be aware of that. Just, again, you can pull that stuff way down. I'll be in Wise sometimes or Fmod, and I'll pull down some high frequency bird to like -35, and it's fine. Like, it is the correct volume in game, It's like a mastered bird asset. It's like, pull it way down. It's gonna be heard. Don't worry. Here we go. So Sean says, as far as identifying the pseudo Foley, but primarily UI design intent of the original sounds, nailed it. Yeah, totally. And Bjorn says, that's why I usually tell students. Oh my God, that's what I usually tell students. Sometimes on redesigns, try to make it one-to-one with how the original is, and then in other videos, make it completely different. Just for the sake of trying to achieve what's already there. Yeah, it's a great exercise, of course. I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of I can think of many examples of me wanting to design a certain kind of sound and be like, oh man, like Dead Space did that so well. Like, what do they do? And I pull it into RX and like look at it, like what's happening over time, like what's happening in the frequency content and stuff, and how can I try and achieve that same thing? It's a very effective methodology as far as improving your own craft, totally. But whether you want to show that as far as like, this is mine, like, is it really, or is it more a reflection of just like, you can copy someone else's work, And maybe they don't want someone who can copy work. They want someone to bring their own kind of personality and their ideas to a project. So, yeah, pretty strong though. Like overall, some really strong work in here. I think that I would have liked to see a little more in terms of like, as I said, like mindfulness in the construction of the reel itself, and like the ending was really kind of, and we're done. You know, just stuff like that. A little more thought given to this is a full piece with a story in mind. The story being you, Chirag, and because sound design and music, like the entire role of these of people in this industry is to support the narrative and to help drive the story forwards. This is in effect your own story. So if the story being told about you is told like in a jarring or scattered or kind of like mishmash way, then people may draw the conclusion that maybe you struggle or that's not your strong suit to like help craft a story or help drive a story forward. And while that might not even be true, maybe you're awesome at that. But the thing is, this is again just a matter of communication. This is what the reel communicates currently. Whereas if you have some awesome reel that has like, rad transitions and stuff. We had Jack Campbell a little while ago. I think he changed it a little bit, but there is some transitions here still. There's one here. Yeah, here we go. Right? Like, how freaking sweet is that? It's so cool. Jack Campbell killed it. Like, this is obviously a transition that was structured and was like designed, and it speaks very well to Jack's sensibilities for storytelling. And that kind of thing. Again, like if Jack's work is as strong as yours is, Jack's winning out because his reel was put together in a more mindful way. That's all there is to it. So, are you standing out in some positive way? Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have this itch thing going on. You've done your own development. You have a lot of stuff that you worked on here as far as breakdowns. This is the kind of thing where it's unlikely someone will watch all of these things, but just the fact they're here means you're obviously putting the work in. So that looks very good. It just it's a matter of might be worth trimming down like some of the text here and there and like focusing some of the content. Like we were talking about the being able to navigate to the blueprints thing here very easily. Just general presentation stuff to help better showcase your own abilities. That's all it comes down to. So I would love to see what your reel looks like with those things in mind, with your website as well, with all those things in mind. So thanks so much. Super good. Some strong work. Jason, shall we? Thank you for your patience. Let's jump in. Jason McKenzie, this is Epic June in the chat, loving all the tips. Hey, cheers. I'm glad you're getting something out of Chirag's reel too. That's often what happens is like I spend more time on the first of the two because we end up talking about like general stuff kind of quite a bit. And then we don't need to talk about that general stuff in the second reel because we already have, right? And you're already here for that. So let's go scrolling down. We got Jason McKenzie. It is usurped by Demo Reel, Sound Design. Okay, we got some Hades again? What's happening here? Crazy. How do I know? How do we know? Hades. Crazy. All right. About. Let's go through the page first, actually. So we have, this is a vertical page. Yes. Seems pretty vertical. Credits. Game jams. Contact. Okay, so we got some links. The Instagram link, classic. Is it audio things? Or is it you looking fly? Let's have some cooking. Again, cooking. We got cooking and games, both these people. The cosplay? Yo, nice. It's pretty sick. Plague Doctors. Okay, so kind of gamey stuff here and there. Not a ton of audio things, it looks like. It's kind of generalized. So be aware. I mean, it still is like it's got game stuff, so it's kind of relevant. But in general, I mean, I've certainly seen worse examples of like the Instagram being linked, and it's just only selfies. It's like, well, okay, but if you're linking your Instagram on your professional page, it's probably worth, it's worth considering like who are the people on my professional page and what are they interested in, and if it's all like audio tutorials and like field recording videos and photos and stuff, then like sweet. But if it's all selfies, then it's like, well, does it need to be here? Is this who this is for? Like for people who want to hire me, you know? Yours is kind of in the middle, so I'll leave it to you. If you think it's gamey enough, then by all means, leave her in there. And we got Jason does audio. I know that's yours. Cool. We got TikTok as well. Cool. Okay, so back to the top, demo reel. Moving down, we got about. So I'm a British Caribbean sound designer based in the UK. Rad, comma, should be a period. I've worked freelance on a few projects, which include music assistant with the audio team at PlayStation on their VR title Blood and Truth, and with the team at Side, editing dialogue for games like Final Fantasy, 14. Also, no period here. Just small details like that. It's the same thing as, like, details like this are just the same thing as what we were talking about with, like, the flow of Chirag's reel, that it just invites people to draw further conclusions about your own attention to detail in your work. Because if you misspell things, or if you have like grammar that's wrong, or periods and punctuation stuff that's wrong, then they might go, missing details. And therefore, perhaps I shouldn't hire them because they may bring that same absence of attention to detail to our work. Which again, may not even be true, but it just is a matter of people who might not know you very well just drawing conclusions from those kind of things, right? Even like subconsciously. So Blood and Truth, here it is. The credits. Okay. Cool, you have a shipped thing. That's awesome. Game Jams. Develop Game Jam. Scuttle. What is happening here? Oh, I see. This is the game here. So this is one thing left. So I didn't, because of your page, because of this is here, and it's like white on black. I was thinking this is 4 things when I first glanced at it, rather than 2 things. But I understand now. Just took a second to understand what I was looking at. Might not be an issue. Just be aware of like formatting stuff, I guess. Okay, so Game Jams, cool. And then back up to the reel. Let's talk about, okay, first, let's talk about the about just a hair. This is pretty short. Jason, you can probably assume that people won't read your bio unless they have a reason to. Like what is most typical, in my opinion, and just from what I've heard from my peers around the industry, is that if you apply for some gig, what's most likely to happen, and this goes for basically any kind of job you can apply for in audio, is they'll go to your page, they'll watch your stuff. If your stuff kicks ass, then they'll be like, oh, let's learn more about Jason, right? But until then, they don't really have a reason to care about who you are, which kind of sounds mean, but it's just, again, it's a casualty of the fact that they have so many reels to go through, right? So if you have like 800 reels, which is not exaggerating, if you have some AAA team, I know that my buddy at Riot was saying that they had a junior posting up for like a junior sound designer gig or something, and they got 800 applications, 800. So when you have 800 reels to look through, you can't read through 800 bios. It's just not a good use of time. If their reel is obviously not suited for the project or for the team, then why would you read the bio, right? So that said, if they get to your bio, I mean, A, nice work, like good job, you got them, right? But B, reward them, give them a little something. This is probably on the short side. I would like to know a little more about you. Like, you've worked freelance, and what do you do? Like, what do you want to do? You have a sound design thing, but you worked as a music assistant. So are you trained in music? Like, to do a school of music? Do you play instruments? Have you played in a band? Is your music available somewhere? Do you play games on the side? What kind of games do you like? Like, there's a lot of things that we might want to know that are beyond just this. Like, what kinds of work do you want to do? This tells us you were a music assistant and that you edited dialogue, but it doesn't tell us if you want to do those things. Like, is that what you want to be doing? I can tell you, like, Riley Koenig, who is a composer that works with Power Up very frequently and is currently doing Phantom Brigade for Brace Yourself Games. He's done a lot of games to this date, like a lot of stuff. Very talented composer. His first gig in games was editing dialogue, and he's like, and he got hired at the studio to do music, and they're like, we don't have music for you, so can you just edit this voiceover, please? And he's like, I guess. So like, if he put in, I've edited dialogue for these games, people might think that he likes editing dialogue, and he super did not like editing dialogue. So just saying what you did is valuable, certainly, but knowing what you want to do and where your interests lie, like this is where you can be selling yourself as far as like what you bring to the table specifically, what kind of games you like playing, what kind of music you like playing, what kind of sound you like working on, what areas of sound you like working on. If you like programming synths, like put that kind of thing in there, you know? Anything that is specific to you beyond like, I have a passion for game audio. Like don't put that in because anyone can put that in. But putting in things about you specifically can only serve to, you know, improve people's impressions of who you are, and not even just improve the impression as far as like their impression of you, like positive, negative, but it'll just be more information to stick in their brain, right? So that they may just think of you more subconsciously as well. There you go. So let's talk about the reel finally, shall we? Enough of this bio nonsense. Let's go. 143. Uh-oh. Jason's sweating. I said 10x was ideal. So this is like 40 seconds too long. In my opinion, it might be worthwhile. We can watch the whole thing and see if I am incorrect. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a pretty good general rule to follow. So let's press play and see if we survive the extra 40 seconds or if they're worthwhile. Let's go.
Be ready.
Okay, yeah, so this is a really long clip for what you're showing. We'll keep going. So I'm not sure how much Real Talk you've watched in the past, Jason, but basically if the reel is like kind of dragging, or if I feel like I've lost my focus on it, or it's not like I'm not fully engaged or something, then I'll pause when it happened. We'll watch the whole thing, but we'll just kind of make a note of maybe where that happened. So it's around like 40 seconds or so. I was like, okay, actually what happened is at 40, you cut to this. And I was like, okay, new game. Then it was the same one. And I was like, oh no. So we'll keep going here. We'll talk about that in a second. Sick. I was kicked out. It's one of these. I'm gonna go to YouTube because this is kind of an annoying embedded play. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So that was rough. We'll talk about that too. So yes, claps in the chat. Thank you so much for joining in the applause. That was strong work, Jason. Really nice. Again, it's not like, oh, your reel's long, therefore you're bad. Like that's not the case. It's more like, again, just a presentation issue as far as like how efficiently you are communicating what you can bring to the team, you know? And yeah, so Jason, that's a funny thing, right? So he's saying, noticing things myself. I need to change already. Haha. Yeah. So that's a very useful side effect of showing your work to anyone. Never mind like on a stage in front of some 40 people, right? Just showing it to like your mom. Like I like show my mom work, and she's not like an expert in audio engineering, but even just her being in the room can it can make you come to terms with some parts you kind of already knew were weak, and now someone's there and you're like, oh, and like now you're cringing much harder because someone's actually seeing it, and you're like, okay, yeah, that needs to change. So yeah, having someone else in the room is a great kind of psychological tool to help you, fix what's got to be fixed. Totally. So let's talk about this thing in terms of presentation first. It is long. First though, cool intro. I love that this matches the site itself. It's obviously got some. I mean, there you go. This is now at odds with, like I was saying, the absence of attention to detail in your bio is obviously not the case because you have this attention to like your own kind of branding. You didn't have to do this, have it kind of matching your website itself, but you did, and it looks very good. Looks cool. This is kind of into a content thing, but starting off with silence here into a blast is a bit rude. It's a little bit rude. Yeah, so just be aware it may be worth doing like a J cut there or something, or even just put a bit of a fade on that transient, like not fading the transient to nothing, but like, have the transient like start lower, like come up. So we come in like, yes, it's an impact, but realize that the person has no idea what's coming next, and you don't know how loud their system's turned up. So to start with like this big ass, impact is maybe a little. Oh, I'm even scared to press play again. It's a little bit discourteous. Just be aware. And like that kind of thing, if their volume is up loud, they may be like, screw this guy, like immediately, like again, even subconsciously, before they even heard your work. So there you go. I always show my wife my work for a fresh pair of ears from the average listener. There you go, Matt, of course. And Bjorn says, yeah, I did that once for some logo branding sound design for a TV station. Her response says, hey, they paid you for this? There you go. That's the one to marry. Give you the honest response, of course. Okay, so moving on. We got this here. God of War. Sean, do you work on God of War too? Or are you on the new one? I'm not sure what you're... I can't recall. I thought you were on God of War as well. We got the celebrity guest in the chat right now. I was thinking you were for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong. Gameplay redesign, recording and mixing. Recording and mixing. Okay, so, well, you mixed it. Mixing is assumable. Like, if you didn't mix it, then who did? If you're doing the redesign kind of thing. I did, and I am. There you go. So Sean also worked on God of War. This is crazy. This always happens. Like, there's always some correlation between the two reels. It's like Hades and Sean is the correlation today. All right. So let's... Oh, Derek. Oh, my God, Derek, please. Yeah, Derek, pipe up. There you go. So yeah, you mixed it, of course. Recording is like, did you record all these sounds, like every single one of them? If yes, then cool. But I don't know if you did. Moving on. Okay, yes. Moving on. Okay, so here we have Wise Unreal implementation. This isn't really the name of the project though. It's like something city. I can't recall what this is called. It's something. Yeah, please. I'm sure someone in the chat knows what this is. It's something city, right? But I know I've seen it before. I've seen this design several times on Real Talk, and cool, it's here. Just it's not called this. Just put the title of the thing there. Soul City. That sounds right. Yeah, Marie, I think you're right about that one. So yeah, put the name of the thing here. Recording, mixing, implementation. Again, mixing, we know that's assumable, and recording is like, did you record every sound? So yes, free. So did you record every sound? Actually, that's pretty sick if you did. In which case, you may want to put something like implementation and then like in parentheses, all sounds recorded, because that's legit. That's a lot of work. Nice work, Jason. Very cool. Do you like how my assumptions that you didn't? It's like no one does. So that's sick. Good job. So here, I would recommend saying just sound redesign. That's fine. And then put all sounds recorded, or all source sound, or like all recorded all source. Might be worth putting like recorded all source. And then same thing here, implementation. You say this twice also, like to say Soul City, Wise Unreal. So even to say Soul City demo project, and then beneath that, Wise/Unreal implementation, and then parentheses, all, like recorded all source. That'd be perfect. That'd tell us everything we need to know. And then next up is more of the same. Next up is Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games. Another detail here, you put a space there. You didn't put a space here. I did see that before too. Be aware of that. Okay, again, mixing, don't need it. Creature redesign. Again, recorded all source. If you're recording all this source, I'm very impressed. That's a very, very big plus for you. Like a very, I don't know the last time we saw someone who did all their own source. Very cool. And finally, Doom Eternal. id Software, Panic Button Games, redesign. Oh, recording, missing an I. Another typo here. Be aware. Very cool. Same thing. If it's all recording, then say so. Oh, and finally, Demon's Souls remake trailer, Blue Point Games, creature redesign. Again, you don't need to say like what the thing is that you're redesigning. We're looking at it. It's okay. Just say sound redesign. Because it's more than just the creature, and it's more than just the weapons and so forth, right? It's like, it's the whole thing. So, yes, your spelling. Be aware. It'll get you. Okay, very cool. So let's move on then. I'm really impressed, Jason. That's awesome. So let's talk about, I mean, it seems pretty obvious you're looking to get in AAA. This is a good look. It's a lot too, which is awesome. And the disparate stuff, this is a cool clip because it's like, it's in isolation, but there's so much going on in the isolation that I almost don't mind. We've said before in the show, Jason, that having things like, here is me shooting a gun into the sky like 4 times, and it's like only the gun sound and nothing else is being heard in the shot. I always prefer shots like you did for Doom. This is great because it has all these different gun sounds. This is an awesome clip that I maybe recorded and prepared for this redesign because it has like these different guns you're pulling out and shooting and stuff. It's got a really good mixture of content, but it's also controlled enough that it's not like crazy chaos in every direction, right? So really nice selection for a clip here. Really good. It's easy to follow too for someone coming in for the first time. But these clips, it's cool because there's so much happening. It's so big and wide that I don't really mind that it's like one by one. Pretty neat. But yeah, lengthwise, we kind of jumped over that. You got to pull it back down a minute. Like you don't need all this content in here. The God of War can be shorter. This can be way shorter. And like this one here, you can have like 2 of them maybe instead of like the 4 or 5. Doom can be shorter too. Just pick the big meaty part of it. And then, yeah, you don't need to put the whole thing there. You can totally go into your, well, you don't even have it here. You have like demo reel and then, oh, is there things here? Okay. I fully missed this entirely. It may be worth having like a portfolio section beneath this and having these things there because then, yeah, you can have a single clip of like 1 machine or 2 machine creatures and then have like the full version of it down below. And if they glanced it and see it's longer, they'll probably want to watch it, right? Because your stuff sounds cool. And then you don't need to worry about like shoving all your best work into this single video. You can have just the best of the best. And then if they want to see more, they can go look at it. Again, thinking of it from the angle of letting people consume your work on their terms and on their timetable, like on their schedule. Because you don't know how many things they have to look at, right? Oh, this is demo rel also. What is happening here? Behind. Demo reel, demo rel. Like the shadow's a different color and different spelling. Let's go. So yeah, it's an easy track to fall into for sure, Jason. Like, because you put all this work in all your stuff, right? Of course you want to show it off, but just it's a challenging matter of having to force yourself to like self-assess and say what is actually like the best of my best, and then show only that. And the result is like a super strong, like hot minute, right? Because you have all this amazing work with no fluff. Super good. Yeah, Natasha, I'm freaking too. It was separately typed. What the heck? Okay, content stuff. Let's go. So the first thing that stood out to me in this clip the most is probably like the room ambience, like the reverb and stuff, especially on the punches. It's like there's so much room. And the thing is, you've got some good design in here. There's certainly room for improvement, but there's some good design in here. And another trap to fall into, Jason, is like just cranking the verb and being like, wow, the soundscape is so rich and full. And like it kind of is, but usually when you crank reverb, it serves to reduce contour on all your other work. And it'll also serve to maybe, it can like contribute to missing other sounds that should probably be there. So things like more Foley, like footsteps and stuff, you kind of missed them here. Is it here? You know, there's no movement here on our hero. But because the room is so loud, it's easy to miss that, like in the design process, right? Like, because it just sounds like you got all this part's covered. There's lots of sound, but there should be more detail probably. And even like their landings could use some love. Like it comes down to where your mix focus is over time. So like this shot should be all we're hearing for this clip. The other things in the room are almost not even relevant to the story in this point. Like this is all that matters. Like how big it is in the frame, right? So we've got this clip. Yeah, we'll hear the different enemies and stuff totally, but the zoom in, the room is almost, irrelevant entirely. So you can pull off that reverb way, way down. And some of the punches, there's some good like bone cracking and stuff in there. But most of the is like sounds like something like a drum in a room. It's really big and wide. But I'd like a little more on the actual impact, some transient, some beef. Because again, we're so close to it. So like proximity effect stuff, you can probably afford to have a little more, some more lows and like bass and beef and stuff in those impacts. And just to help fill out the stuff beneath all the bone cracking and like teeth flying out of the mouth and stuff, right? Okay, let's do this one. Okay, so the footsteps start reverby and kind of keep being reverby as we exit this space. Well, a little bit. It's hard to tell because the ambience is quite loud. I may be wrong about that. And someone in the chat was saying that the second half of this clip was stronger than the first half, and I think I'm inclined to agree. It's good voiceover. It's good. Nice work. Yeah, it's just a lot of the same. Like that can be way shorter, but what's there is pretty cool. I think it might be a little bit like heavy in the low mids and stuff. You could explore having a little more frequency shift, like frequency focus shift over time based on where you are. So like if you're out in the world, then you get more of that city wash. Or if you're inside, you get more like you kind of pick and choose what you want to have, right? But like here, like I like the approach of the city being kind of like just the din of city wash, but I think there's probably some more room yet to maybe like pull that wash down and get into the details more. So hearing things like when you walk past a vent or like what was this thing here? It was like a smoking thing. What is this? There's a vent right here. Like it's got this kind of smoke or steam coming out. That's a great opportunity to like have that right there, have a sound source there. And then we can hear like the near field stuff really well. Because you've got the distant stuff super covered. You've got like all like this thing here we hear really quietly. It's very nice detail. Kind of like the speaking to us and stuff. And again, sounds good. Like from a voiceover standpoint. And like the vehicle stuff distantly, all this stuff sounds great. But kind of the only thing we have near field is the footsteps, Yeah, just a little more specificity in the stuff you're choosing to cover there, but what's there is pretty cool. Nice work. Next. So here, I would have liked to have a little more, because it's such a big shot. They're so distant to start, right? This little guy. If you close your eyes, Jason, and listen to this, it doesn't really tell the story of it being far away. And that's, I mean, usually in these like kind of isolated shots of here's a single gun or here's a single animation of a League of Legends character or something like that, you don't have the what do you call it, like granularity, like the fidelity of like having distance. It just is here. Like it's right in front of you. It's doing the thing, right? But we have it. We have some panning, we have some distance. So why not express that in the sound too? You know, easy little volume automation, maybe some like EQ automation as it's farther away. It doesn't hear much like low stuff. There's some really quick wins. You can hear some quick panning, quick volume, quick EQ stuff, and it's going to sound better immediately. Like the work itself for recording all that source yourself, this is really strong. Pretty cool. Very nice. So did you record this clip? I want to know. Because this clip is awesome. This is like made for sound redesign. Super good. Like, yeah, Jason, nice work, man. Really, really good choice. It's one thing that people kind of fall in the trap of like picking a really huge, like super full clip. This is a pretty full clip, mind you, but fuller than this, and go to redesign it, and then they miss like 50%, 60%, 40% of the content to be designed. There's a lot of content here. Really nice. Yeah, so now in the chat, Riley says the synthy gun sounds are recorded. So I suspect Riley is interested in knowing how you did this thing, right? So I mean, if you don't have it here, maybe you do. Unreal Sound Design, Machine, okay, next. Breath of the Wild, redesign. So that is, because you did all source sound, I think that's the kind of question that's invited, like of your viewer, is how did you do these sounds? Like, how did you do the sound of this thing? How did you do the sound of this thing? And the thing is, you know what gets likes on Twitter? Holy crap, is people doing sound design breakdowns. Look at this. On the weekend, posted this thing. It's like 2,000 retweets. What the heck? That's never happened before. Just like talking about the Celeste voice breakdown, right? People love this stuff. They're on your TikTok. So if you have that content, then I would fully recommend you format it in such a way that it is it's viewable right here. Because the thing is, you can't, I would suggest you don't trust that people would A, know that, or B, try and hunt it down elsewhere. Because again, time, right? Like if they have another 750 reels to look at, they're probably not going to spend time like poring over your TikTok history to find a video of you talking about how you did the synth sounds for the gun, you know? It's just, I can assume that's probably the case. But on the whole, like this is a strong piece, really good. So again, I think my main complaint is just this like mixed balance between the background and what's in front of us, because I want to hear more of the action right here, right? And in these clips of you fighting the monsters, these demons and stuff, we hear some of the gunfire impacts and stuff. The shield impact and stuff, right? But like the response from the characters and stuff, it seems kind of distant. And because it sounds distant, or it may not even be distant, but rather it sounds like it's washing into the ambience, and so it is thereby sounding distant because it's like the same distance as the ambient content elsewhere. So we have the same effect of the mix being kind of like losing contour, same as here. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's a symptom across your different works that we can probably pull the ambience down. And the thing is, you've done some great work in the ambience, and pulling down things that are very detailed is like, oh, ace. It's a wonderfully mature thing to do as far as mixing goes, because you're like, yes, it's awesome. And when there's nothing else in the scene, you're going to hear it. But right now, this scene is about what's right in front of us. When these things are all dead, that ambience will be at the front again, and we'll hear it nice and loud. It'll be really cool. It'll creep us out and stuff, right? But until then, this should probably hang out, like the ambience should probably hang out a bit further back in the mix. Like here is so well established right here. Yeah, so for instance, for how loud this flamethrower sounds, takes over the mix, you know? Like that's all we hear for a second is the flamethrower. But look how far away it is, right? So we only hear the flamethrower. That's how loud the thing is. That's what you're telling us. It's a loud flamethrower, despite being 20 feet away. So if that's the case, the cries of the character, though, we don't hear this like of like the arm blasting off or like the cry at nearly the same volume. So there's a bit of inconsistency as far as what the mixing focus from moment to moment. Does that make sense? So I think what you've designed is really strong. It's just a matter of kind of guiding the listener's attention over time. And that's really the job of a sound designer, is to help guide the listener's attention to the stuff that matters from beat to beat. Good transition, pretty cool. Like this blast here too. This. Like that is, how is the flame? Look how far away we are. It's right here. It's the same distance as a flamethrower, you know? So, and the explosion is absolutely quieter than the flamethrower was. Absolutely. So yes, just be aware. Don't be afraid to like duck stuff out of the mix to make space for a big explosion. I think you'll find that your mixing will improve tenfold if you start doing more automation over time to like just actively choose what's being heard as we march this story forwards. And the story could be like the player's story, like what they're doing from moment to moment as time goes forward, like what the player is choosing to do is the player's story. It doesn't need to be like a cinematic narrative event. That's why things like dynamic ducking exist, because they accommodate for the player doing things in whatever order they choose. So let's end there, I think. This is like, oh yeah, Demon Souls. One sec. Let's do this instead. There's some sync stuff here. It might be my fault. It's still pretty late. The hand stops. You hear the much later? Is that like sound through air? Tribal time stuff? So the main thing here is I'm missing a lot of bass through kind of the whole thing. It's one of those instances where I checked my own listening environment, my own system, make sure I didn't like accidentally turn on an EQ or something. But there's almost no sub bass in this whole clip. I I think in the roar and in the impacts here, there's definitely some space for that. Again, it's this the massive size of this thing is kind of the story being told, right? Like here's a big spire, and the hand goes like around the whole thing. So this thing is massive. We should for sure hear some of that size in the in like the weight of the frequency content too. Okay, so standing out, yeah, super good. Just a little more detail about you and some more like spelling considerations. The rel, that's so funny. And just like the length of this thing and being able to show some work that you can like predict people may want to see, like some walkthroughs of your work and stuff. Maybe you do. What's in your implementation thing? Which is this last thing. We're a bit over time here, but this is what happens. I'm interested to see your work, Jason. So we're running over time. Play video. What we got? Showcase of implementation. Work in progress. Don't put that. Just put it up if it's done or not. You talking? Oh, you're not talking. Okay, yeah. So this is. Okay, right. Are you gonna talk though? Okay, right. So this is the worst way of doing things. If you recall, I cheered for Chirag doing the narrated video. Do that instead, 100%. Narrate this thing. You know, you record everything else, so record your voice too. It is going to be the better way of doing it because then people can watch the clip and you can talk us through it and tell us what to look at and what to listen for. And it's going to be way, way, way better. Because right now, I can tell you wholeheartedly, I have absolutely no interest in watching this video. If you were talking through it, I would 100% watch it. 100%. I know I'm not alone in that feeling, my perspective on the matter. Right, so I was saying, just do your best to try to predict what kind of questions people may have about your work. So they go, oh, well, do they implement things? I want to see more on this, like, on this Soul City bit. Seems pretty cool. So you have that. Just maybe improve your presentation, your approach to showcasing it. And as well, like, was it Riley in the chat was saying, like, you did the synth sound, you recorded that? So sick. So yeah, just maybe do like a new video of all your recording techniques or pull in some of your TikTok and Twitter stuff too. And make like try and format it for this purpose, for professional purposes. Or for professional like adjudication purposes. And because yeah, your stuff is sick. It's really well done. There's certainly room for improvement, but as to get hired in a junior level position at a AAA company, like you probably have chops for that. Like you'd be in the running. Just a matter of just increasing your chances by being certain that the people doing the hiring are seeing the stuff you're most proud of, right? Because if they have to wait through this thing, they may skip ahead and miss that cool thing you designed entirely. And wouldn't that be a tragedy? So thanks so much, Jason. Really good work. Super good. Super good. Okay, so that wraps it. If anyone in the chat wants to submit their own work for Real Talk, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, it's certainly a bit of a wait. I think we're scheduling like into November right now. So you have some time to improve your work. If you're looking to do that, it may be worth applying or sending your work in now and then working in the interim. And you can do so down below at powerupaudio.com. You can use our contact inquiry form there, or you can hit us up on Twitter if you're on Twitter at powerupaudio or at regamik, and that'll work either way. I will see it either way. We'll slot you into the schedule. Okay, so thanks so much. I'm gonna blast some Hades again on the way out because holy, again, big congrats to Hades on Game of the Year for the GDCAs and also Best Audio, Best Design. Killed it. What a good game. Playing it again. It's too good. Too good, right? Okay, thanks so much. See you.